Every fridge brand in 2025 claims to be your kitchen's best friend, but here's the chilling truth. Some of the biggest names line you up for breakdowns, lawsuits, and repair bills before your leftovers even go cold. In refrigerator brands ranked. From best to worst, in 2025, we're exposing which shiny logos are selling you a future of hinge swaps, leaky ice makers, and a steady drip of money out of your wallet. If you think your favorite brand is safe, think again, because in a year where even 30% of certain fridges fail, the difference between a hero and a headache might surprise you. So which refrigerator brands should you actually trust, and which are ticking time bombs? Let's pull back the stainless steel curtain. Number 13 on the countdown, and it's the kind of fall from grace that makes you question everything about brand loyalty. Frigidaire used to be the name your grandparents trusted. The fridge humming along for decades, outlasting marriages and avocado countertops. But in 2025, Frigidaire sits at the bottom of the pile, wearing the crown for planned obsolescence. It all started back in 2019, when someone at headquarters decided metal hinges were just too luxurious for the masses. Enter the era of the cheap plastic hinge. Internal design reviews warned this would end badly, but those warnings went straight to the executive trash folder. The result? Doors that sag, seals that don't seal, and a fridge that leans like it's been through a bad breakup. Repair techs started calling them Frigaway, as in, watch your cold air and your money, go right out the door. And when that hinge inevitably snaps, you're not just replacing a $15 part. In many cases, the whole door has to go, especially on those fancy French door models. That's how a minor design tweak spirals into a repair bill that can hit $700, $1,000, sometimes even $1,400 if you're really unlucky. Consumer forums are full of horror stories, doors that won't close, milk gone sour overnight, and repair quotes that make you wish you'd stuck with a cooler and a bag of ice. And it's not just hinges. Ice makers and evaporator fans have started failing early too, stacking up repair receipts like they're collector's items. The kicker? Frigidaire's own engineers saw it coming. Leaked emails point to cost-cutting demands winning out over durability, and the result is a fridge that's engineered to keep you busy with service calls. No wonder viral repair techs have made a sport out of catching these failures in slow motion. So if you're shopping for a fridge in 2025 and see that familiar badge, remember, sometimes a trusted name is just a sticker on a box full of plastic parts. And with Frigidaire, that box might not even stay closed. Number 12 is Samsung, the refrigerator world's reigning diva. Walk into any big box store and you'll see these beauties lined up like they're auditioning for a reality show. Touchscreens, glowing blue LED lights, and enough features to make your phone jealous. But behind the glass, it's a soap opera of meltdowns and denial. The main event, ice makers. If you've never seen someone chip glaciers out of their Samsung freezer with a steak knife, just search the internet. Viral videos show frustrated owners hacking away at blocks of ice, sometimes with a glass of wine for moral support. The problem? A freeze-melt cycle defect that's so well known, it could have its own fan club. The ice maker leaks, freezes up, or just gives up entirely, sometimes all in the same week. Internal test data from 2021 flagged this issue before the models even hit the shelves. Samsung's engineers reportedly sounded alarms, but the executive team decided to roll the dice. Instead of a recall, they sent out delayed emails and half-hearted software updates. Class action lawsuits piled up from 2020 through 2024, with angry customers waving screenshots of service tickets and warranty denials. And don't get too comfortable with the compressor either. French door and counter depth models from 2016 to 2022 became infamous for sudden cooling loss. Some owners described it as the fridge going on strike. Food spoiling, water pooling, and a repair bill that could fund a weekend getaway. Trying to get help? Samsung's customer service is a masterclass in avoidance. Independent repair techs rate them worst in class for slow responses and endless call transfers. If your fridge is still under warranty, you might get lucky. If not, prepare for a repair dessert, especially if you live outside a major city. So yes, Samsung fridges look incredible. But unless you're shopping for a short-term roommate with a flair for drama, you might want to keep walking. Because when a refrigerator needs therapy more often than it makes ice, it's time to question what you're really paying for. Number 11 is LG, the fridge with a resume that reads like a Silicon Valley startup. Sleek, ambitious, and just a little too confident for its own good. On paper, you get Wi-Fi, touchscreens, and more compartments than a carry-on suitcase. In reality, LG's reputation is haunted by one phrase: the compressor curse. Between 2014 and 2017, nearly 1 in 3 LG French door models suffered a compressor failure within 5 years. That's not a typo, 30%. If you bought the wrong serial number, you were signing up for a 3 to 4 week wait on repairs, sometimes longer if you lived outside a major city. Parts shortages turned some kitchens into science experiments, with food spoiling and digital panels flashing error codes like they were sending Morse code for help. Lawsuits followed, and LG eventually coughed up an extended warranty and a hardware redesign. They'll tell you it's all better now. Some repair techs agree, the new compressors are holding up at least for the moment. But the scars are fresh, and plenty of owners still flinch every time they hear the fridge cycle on. If you're considering an LG in 2025, check the model year and hope you're not rolling the dice on a legacy lemon. Because nothing says modern convenience like a month without cold milk. Number 10 is GE, the classic American badge that once meant you'd never have to think about your refrigerator again. These days, GE is coasting on nostalgia, and the results aren't pretty. After Haier took over in 2016, the accountants started playing Jenga with the parts list. Metal shelves swapped for thinner versions, insulation cut back, and entry-level models loaded with just enough cost savings to keep the price tags shiny. Former engineers have gone on record saying defect rates climbed after 2017, especially in the low and mid-range lines. Service call data backs it up. In 2025, nearly 1 in 5 GE fridges sold needed a repair in the first year, 19.2% according to Miele Appliance. Most issues are minor, evaporator fans, ice makers, that sort of thing. But the trend is clear. The GE badge still looks sharp in the showroom, but behind the door it's not the Cadillac it used to be. If you're banking on GE for bulletproof reliability, you might want to read the fine print on that warranty. Because sometimes the only thing classic about a GE fridge is the disappointment when it breaks down sooner than expected. So at the end of the bottom tier, you've got 2 legacy brands, one still digging out from a compressor scandal, the other quietly swapping substance for sentiment. From here, things get complicated. Not quite worst in class, but not exactly safe bets either. Welcome to the inconsistent middle. Number 9 is Whirlpool, the brand your parents probably told you to trust, right after look both ways before crossing the street. But in 2025, buying a Whirlpool fridge is more like spinning a wheel at a county fair. Sometimes you walk away with a prize, sometimes with a plastic comb. The trouble started brewing in 2023, when Whirlpool's boardroom decided it was time for a global shuffle. Compressors, the heart and soul of any fridge, were quietly outsourced to a new plant in Mexico. The union at their Ohio facility didn't take it lying down. Walkouts, social media campaigns, the whole 9 yards. But corporates stuck to their plan, and the new compressors rolled out with a shiny cost savings badge and a not-so-shiny 12% jump in reported faults within a year. For anyone who's never thought about a refrigerator compressor before, here's why that matters. When a compressor fails, your fridge becomes a very expensive pantry. The replacement bill can run north of $800, and thanks to the new supply chain, some parts take weeks to arrive. Repair techs started calling certain models coin flips. One batch runs for a decade, the next batch can't make it through a summer heat wave. And the inconsistency isn't just folklore. Service logs from 2024 show a spike in warranty claims and a rash of complaints about noisy operation, sudden cooling loss, and control boards that seem to have a mind of their own. Meanwhile, Whirlpool's marketing still leans on that golden age reputation, but factory workers know better. They watched as the last US-made compressors rolled off the line, replaced by boxes stamped with new serial numbers and a lot more uncertainty. The company line is that quality control is just as strict as ever. But if you ask the folks on the floor, or the techs who actually fix these things, the story gets a lot less rosy. So if you find a Whirlpool on sale, it might be worth a shot. Just make sure you're looking at recent reviews for that exact model, because the difference between a great buy and a total regret can be just one unlucky serial number. In the world of refrigerators, even a household name can leave you with a fridge full of spoiled groceries and a phone full of repair appointments. Number 8 is Bosch, the fridge that wants you to believe it's the German sports car of the kitchen. The sticker price certainly thinks so. Premium dollars, showroom gloss, and a badge that whispers engineering. But pop the hood and you'll find an engine that's more commuter sedan than Autobahn racer. Field audits from 2022 through 2025 tell the real story. Bosch refrigerators have a knack for failing in the least glamorous ways. 7% of their water filters are duds out of the box, and ice dispensers clog so often you'd think they were designed as a test of patience. The real fun begins when something breaks. Need a part? Get comfortable. Average wait times for replacement components run 3 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer if you don't live in a major city. Bosch's parts network is about as nimble as a glacier. And when the part finally arrives, brace yourself. OEM pieces cost double what you'd pay for the same function on a mid-tier American brand. Want to try an aftermarket fix? Good luck. Proprietary designs mean you're locked into Bosch's ecosystem, and the repair bill climbs faster than the temperature in a dead fridge. Leaked internal audits show Bosch's engineers have been under pressure to cut costs without making waves. The result? Instead of real fixes, you get safe tweaks that leave the same old weak points untouched. Service techs joke that Bosch is the only brand where you can spend $4,000 and still end up with a fridge that needs therapy. Meanwhile, customer forums are filled with stories of owners waiting a month for a new water filter, or shelling out hundreds just to get their ice maker working again. It's a classic case of paying for the badge, not the build. The fridge looks sharp in the showroom, but when it comes to reliability and service, you're getting a luxury bill for average performance. If you're thinking about Bosch, ask yourself, do you want a refrigerator or a long-term relationship with a parts supplier? Because in 2025, Bosch is selling both. Number 7 is KitchenAid, the refrigerator with a split personality. On the outside, it's all polished chrome and culinary ambition, a badge that whispers chef's kitchen, even if all you cook is frozen pizza. But under the hood, KitchenAid is as unpredictable as a reality show contestant. The big secret? It all comes down to which factory built your fridge. Some units roll off the line ready for years of service, others arrive with problems straight out of the box. Field techs have a name for it: DOA, dead on arrival. 4% of KitchenAid fridges never even make it past their first week without a service call. That's not a rounding error, that's a design flaw with a business card. And if you're hoping for a quick fix, brace yourself. Replacement parts can cost up to 30% more than their Whirlpool siblings. Same parent company, pricier headaches. Ice and water dispensers are the usual suspects, quitting early and demanding repairs that feel more like ransom notes. By year 6, even the most forgiving owners start to notice squeaks, rattles, and the slow march of little issues piling up. Right behind KitchenAid, at number 6, is Maytag. This is the fridge you buy when you want something that just works. No drama, no touchscreens, no mood lighting. The Maytag pitch is all about blue-collar dependability. Fewer electronics mean fewer things to break, and the compressor is the kind that's built to take a beating. For the first 5 years, most owners don't even think about their fridge. But Maytag isn't bulletproof. Some models draw 8% more energy than their rivals, so you might notice the bump in your electric bill. And while it's less likely to quit early, it's not immune to the usual suspects: door seals that loosen, shelves that start to sag, and the occasional hiccup from the ice maker. Still, if you want a fridge that'll outlast a KitchenAid without the luxury tax on parts, Maytag is the safe bet. It might not impress your dinner guests, but it'll keep your groceries cold and your repair tech at bay. So, as the middle tier closes out, you've got a tale of 2 Whirlpool brands. One sells the dream, the other sells you a solid day's work. If you're tired of rolling the dice on factory roulette, the next brands on the list might finally give you some peace of mind. Number 5 is Haier. And if you're still thinking of them as the bargain bin brand from a decade ago, it's time for an upgrade, just like their refrigerators. Haier used to be the name you saw on the cheapest box in the big box store, the one you bought for a college dorm or a rental property and hoped would last until graduation. But somewhere between buying up GE in 2016 and quietly retooling their entire assembly line, Haier pulled off a comeback that would make any underdog jealous. Here's what changed. After the GE deal, Haier's team went back to basics. They brought in a new quality control crew, started running reliability tests that would make a German engineer sweat, and swapped out the weakest links for tougher, old-school components. Rumor has it, some of the new Haier models even use better compressors than the ones found in mid-tier American brands. The result? According to the 2025 Yale Appliance Reliability Survey, fewer than 15% of hire fridges need service within the first 5 years. For perspective, that puts them ahead of Whirlpool, GE, and even some so-called premium European brands that cost twice as much. And speaking of price, Haier hasn't forgotten its roots. Most of their full-size refrigerators still come in under $900, which is a minor miracle when you consider what the competition charges for a few extra LEDs and a Wi-Fi chip you'll never use. You're not getting a fridge that'll win design awards, but you are getting something that keeps food cold, doesn't sound like a jet engine, and won't have you on a first-name basis with the local repair tech. The real secret weapon? Haier's quality control team. These folks are obsessed with catching problems before the fridge ever leaves the factory. Stories circulate about line supervisors yanking entire batches for retesting if a single compressor runs a little hot. That kind of paranoia pays off. Owners report fewer breakdowns, and service techs say Haier models are refreshingly straightforward to fix if something does go wrong. So if you're shopping in 2025 and want a fridge that delivers solid reliability without a luxury price tag, Haier is the smart money pick. It's proof that you don't need to spend a fortune to avoid a kitchen full of spoiled groceries or a calendar full of repair appointments. Number 4 is Amana, the refrigerator brand that never got the memo about kitchen tech arms races or Instagrammable door panels. Amana doesn't chase trends, and that's exactly why it lands this high on the list. If you're allergic to surprise repair bills and just want a fridge that quietly does its job, Amana is the one that keeps its head down and gets to work. Here's the secret. Amana's design team skipped the gadget parade. No Wi-Fi, no digital ice sensors, no touchscreen that freezes up during a firmware update. What you get is a sturdy box with thick gaskets, a compressor that's been around longer than most TikTok trends, and shelving that doesn't buckle under the weight of a Thanksgiving turkey. That's it. And in 2025, that's a rare kind of luxury. Consumer Reports' latest stability rankings put Amana right near the top for long-term reliability. In lab tests, these fridges held temperature within a couple degrees for weeks, even during simulated power surges. And when technicians talk about Amana, it's with a kind of grudging respect. There just isn't much to fix. One field tech joked that Amana service calls are so rare, he checks the address twice to make sure it's not a prank. Longtime owners have stories that sound almost suspiciously boring. 10, 12, even 15 years with nothing but the occasional wipe down of the door seal. No leaks, no weird rattles, no surprise puddles under the crisper drawer. The most exciting thing that ever happens is replacing the light bulb. That's not to say Amana is bulletproof. Eventually, every fridge needs a little TLC. But when it comes to avoiding the classic ice maker disasters or control board meltdowns, Amana's simplicity is its superpower. You won't find Amana at the top of any design award lists, and it's not going to wow your dinner guests. But if you want a fridge that just works year after year, with the kind of reliability that makes you forget it's even there, Amana is the quiet hero of the kitchen. Fewer features, fewer headaches. Sometimes less really is more. Number 3 is Speed Queen, and this is where the countdown stops pretending to care about kitchen fashion shows. Speed Queen is the refrigerator that looks like it was built for a firehouse, not a foodie influencer's Instagram grid. If you've ever wondered what happens when a company famous for making commercial washers decides to build a fridge, here's your answer. You get a box that's so overbuilt it practically sneers at the idea of planned obsolescence. Start with the insulation, thicker than a winter coat in Minnesota, and with an R value that makes energy auditors smile. The wiring harness? Commercial grade. The shelving? Forget flimsy plastic. These shelves feel like they could hold a Thanksgiving turkey and a bowling ball without breaking a sweat. Plant foremen like to brag that most of the parts inside a Speed Queen fridge are the same ones you'll find in their coin-op machines, the kind that survive a decade of college students slamming doors and overloading everything. DOE durability tests don't scare Speed Queen. In fact, their fridges routinely outlast the test cycles, and field techs report that fewer than 7% ever need a service call in the first 5 years. That's not a typo. While other brands are busy adding Wi-Fi chips and mood lighting, Speed Queen is quietly turning out units that just keep running. The controls are simple, the electronics are minimal, and there's almost nothing inside that can short out during a power surge. You don't get a touchscreen, you don't get a water dispenser that sings, and you definitely don't get a fridge that's going to win any beauty contests. What you do get is peace of mind. If you want a refrigerator that's built like a tank and doesn't quit, Speed Queen is as close as it gets. Forget the bells and whistles. This is premium defined by endurance, not by flash. Number 2 is Sub-Zero, the refrigerator brand that treats your leftovers better than most people treat family heirlooms. This isn't just a fridge. It's a preservation system engineered to outlast your kitchen remodel, your mortgage, and maybe even your next career. Sub-Zero is where the idea of buy it for life actually means something. Owners swap stories about units from the late 1990s still humming along with nothing more than a gasket change and the occasional filter swap. The secret sauce? Redundancy. Sub-Zero's signature twin compressor setup means the fridge and freezer run on separate systems, so if one goes down, your ice cream isn't melting while you wait for a service call. The temperature stability is legendary. Lab tests and owner anecdotes both agree that fluctuations are minimal, even when you're packing it full for the holidays. Produced drawers hold humidity like a spa treatment for your lettuce, and meat stay fresh for weeks, not days. Service coordinators love Sub-Zero almost as much as their customers do. The design is modular, so a technician can swap out a control board or compressor without tearing apart half your kitchen. Parts support is measured in decades, not years. Try finding a replacement shelf for a 10-year-old Samsung. Sub-Zero's authorized techs keep detailed logs, and what stands out is how rare those visits actually are. Internal service records put the 5-year failure rate under 3%, and most of those are minor issues. Of course, all this comes at a price. Sticker shock is real. Expect to pay $8,000 or more for a new unit. But talk to anyone who's owned one for 20 years and you'll hear the same thing. It's the only fridge they've ever had that feels like an investment, not a gamble. Sub-Zero sets the bar for longevity. And for anyone tired of appliances designed to fail, it's proof that some brands still build for the long haul. Number 1 is Miele, the refrigerator brand that treats durability like a personal challenge. If you've ever wondered what happens when a company famous for German engineering decides to build a fridge, here's your answer. You get a machine that's been through more stress tests than a NASA rover. Every Miele refrigerator is put through 10,000 hours of lab testing before it ever sees a customer, roughly the equivalent of running non-stop for over a year. The company's engineers are so obsessed with reliability, they've been known to run 20,000-hour endurance cycles just to see what, if anything, gives out first. Spoiler, it's usually the patience of the test team, not the fridge. The end result is a refrigerator that's marketed and actually built for 20 years of use. Not up to 20 years, not in ideal conditions, but 2 decades of daily opening, closing, and the occasional midnight snack raid. Field techs joke that Miele fridges are so reliable, most of their service calls are just to explain how to reset the vacation mode. Real-world failure rates? Miele claims less than 2% in the first 5 years. And while independent data is hard to come by, owner forums and repair logs back up the story. These things just don't quit. Of course, all this testing, precision, and imported hardware comes at a price. Expect to pay as much for a Miele fridge as you would for a decent used car. Replacement parts aren't cheap either, but here's the twist. You'll probably never need them. The shelves are thick glass, the hinges are solid metal, and the compressors are so overbuilt that repair techs have called them the last fridge you'll ever need. Miele doesn't bother with flashy screens or mood lighting. Instead, you get a refrigerator that holds temperature within a degree for weeks, shrugs off power surges, and keeps your food fresh long after lesser brands have tapped out. For anyone tired of the repair lottery, Miele is the final answer. German perfection, tested to the edge of reason and ready to outlast your kitchen remodel twice. In 2025, the average refrigerator lasts about 12 years. But as we've seen, that number hides a world of difference between brands. Internal documents, warranty data, and consumer surveys confirm that some names, once symbols of reliability, now top the charts for service calls and repair costs. Legal filings like the LG compressor lawsuits and Samsung's ice maker complaints show how design shortcuts became expensive headaches for buyers. Yet, brands like Miele and Sub-Zero still deliver failure rates under 3%. Backed by decades-long support records. Not all details are public. Manufacturers rarely disclose precise part failure rates or long-term test results. What's clear is that marketing promises often mask real risks, and spending more does not always mean buying better. Choosing a refrigerator in 2025 means cutting through hype, checking proven service records, and valuing long-term reliability. In the end, the quiet refrigerator that works year after year is the true badge of a brand worth trusting.